LLM SEO. I'm going to show you how to rank first on Perplexity. I'm going to show you how to rank first on Grok. There you go. That's our brand. I'm going to show you how to rank first on ChatGPT. There you go. That's our brand again. And then going back to Perplexity, this is our brand again. Not only recommended here in terms of video, but also right here in terms of text, and also right here. So I'm going to show you step by step how not necessarily to rank your brand, because these aren't the classic search engines like Google where there's like 10 results where you rank first. These are more of brand recommendations. So I'm going to give you step by step on how we're doing it. But first, I need to give you a bunch more context on how these things work. So let's break it down. Right, so we have a lot to cover, so let's just get going. Welcome to the LLM SEO course. It's going to be a step-by-step guide on how to get your site recommended in LLMs in 7 simple steps. Now, I say recommended instead of ranking because, unlike with Google or Bing, right, you don't really get ranked, right? These LLMs, right, whether that's Grok, Perplexity, or ChatGPT, they recommend your brand on your site, not necessarily rank it, okay? Now, again, I'm going to show you in 7 simple steps how to do this. And I'm also going to show you a live example of how we're doing LLM SEO for our own brand and how it's being recommended and how we're doing it. So you could just copy what we're doing, okay? Now, first things first, right, I want to give you a bit of context as to why LLM is the future of SEO, but not entirely. Okay, first things first is, right, most people here, right, you, me, everyone, right, tends to now use these LLMs, right, whether that's, this is essentially the customer front-facing product, right? ChatGPT is a product, Perplexity is a product, Grok is a product, and behind the scenes, it's a large language model working, okay? Now, they've just chosen to show us and allow us as users to interact with our product in this way, in a chat manner, okay, in a back and forth manner, okay? Now, it is the future of SEO because, again, there's a lot of searches we as people used to search on the, I guess, classic or traditional search engines where it makes much more sense to search them on one of these products that are based off of an LLM. Right, these chat-based back and forth products that allow you to ask a question and then iterate on that question based on prior context, okay? And the reason why I say not entirely is because, yes, a lot of queries can now be searched on these types of products, but still, right, there's a lot of searches that still make more sense to search on the classic search engine like Google or Bing. So again, it is the future for some searches, not for all of them, okay? For example, if you're looking for a local business, most likely you'll search on Google and then go through Google Maps, right? You won't necessarily search ChatGPT for that, at least not as of now, right? As we stand right now, okay? Now, it's not to say that Google won't come up and Google won't change the way that search engine works, but as today, as of 2025, right, you still use Google in the classic manner, which is a list of like results. Again, things could change. Google can change how their product looks like, maybe more towards a chat-based type thing. Who knows, but still again, they will never, that's my take at least, they will never completely get rid of the classic search engine type structure where you can't interact back and forth between the searches. So I still do believe that, yes, this is the future, right, for searches which you want more context on and interact between the things, but not entirely because, again, there will still be types of searches that will require you to go to the traditional ones. Okay, hopefully this makes sense. Now, what's the principles of LLM SEO? And again, I know this sounds boring, but it's important context that I need to give you before we jump into the juicy stuff, okay? The principles of LLM SEO, right? Honestly, this is quite straightforward, right? People ask questions. You optimize for back and forth, okay? All these LLMs, right, the principle of them, right, is users like me and you ask questions, right? And the principles of the optimization, the search engine optimization for these LLMs is you optimize, for the back and forth. So you need to optimize your brand in a way where when someone asks a question in each one of these models or future models, right, you got to optimize for asked questions and also for a potential back and forth. Because most of us right now, when you use ChatGPT or Perplexity or Grok, you don't just ask one thing, right? You ask it one thing, then you follow up with a couple of questions, okay? It's not just a one-liner like Google or Bing. So you can optimize for questions and for the back and forth. And I'll show you how to do all that in a second here, okay? Those are basically the principles of LLM SEO, right? It's not anything revolutionary, okay? Now, how to do LLM SEO step by step, right? Well, you'll notice that when you search for stuff right here, and I'll give you tangible examples, right? They mention the biggest brands in a given niche. So if you search for what's the most tasty energy drink, most likely we're going to recommend Red Bull, Monster, right? It will mention the biggest brands in a given niche, right? If you search for the best AI writing tool, most likely we'll mention like Jasper and all these big venture-backed companies. Why? Because they're the biggest brands, and you'll notice me talking about this word very often because it's a keyword right here, in a given niche. Okay, now that the theory is out of the way, let's actually give you some tangible examples with actual prompts. Okay, so first things first is you gotta choose the prompts you want to rank for. Actually, not rank, but be recommended for, again, because these tools right here, these products that on the back end run LLMs, right? They are more of an interactive chat type back and forth basis than the classic Google search. For example, on Google, again, you get to search for something and 10 results will pop up and you click which ones you want. Again, with these products, again, the LLM backed type chats, which are the new wave of search engines, right? It's not like this, right? It is a much more interactive experience. Okay, so most people, right, optimize, not most people, but the smart people optimize for prompts. So here's an example, right? Well, for example, let's say, for example, your product is an AI writer, okay? Let's say you are an AI SEO writer, so an AI tailored for SEO, okay? So keywords you do want to rank for on Google and Bing, so the classic search engines will be, for example, AI writer, SEO AI writer for SEO, best AI writing tool, AI writer tools list with price, okay? Now, in terms of prompts, you want to do something more complex because, again, the experience of someone going into these ones is way different than someone going to this one. And you'll notice that some types of your searches you will go to Google and some types of your searches will go to these engines right here. Again, it will depend on the intent behind your search. If you want a bit more context, back and forth, talking, right, you'd go to these ones. And this is almost, I guess, by instinct now, and it will only become more and more like this. Again, some searches will go here, some will go here. And the search that will go here, the intent behind the search and the keywords and the long tail versions of the keywords essentially is way different than on here. Let me continue with the example. So again, the prompt, well, you'd optimize for this, right? Well, while people on Google will search for this, people on these LLM engines will search for example, what's the best AI writing tool for SEO? Best AI auto-building software. Are AI writers safe for SEO? Question. Give me a list of AI writing tools and their prices. Now, here's an example like this. If you search just for AI writer on these LLMs, right? It doesn't know what to give you because it's too generic. There's too much ambiguity, right? Is he looking for a product recommendation? Does he want to know how AI writers work? Does he want to know if they're safe, right? Again, there's a lot of ambiguity, right? Well, if you search for this on Google, right, most likely will come off with product recommendations. And again, you search for this on Google. You'd never search for this on these LLMs. That's just how it works nowadays, right? You'd never search for this there because you know, right, because you've used it before, you know that if you just search for this, it's not enough context for it to know and give you a proper back and forth. You'll have to give it a second prompt, maybe a third prompt, right? If you just search AI writer, what happens if it gives you if it gives you info on how they work, right? You say, oh no, don't tell me how they work. Give me a list of some. Tell me the prices. So inherently, right, you know that not to search for these keywords with a lot of ambiguity on these types of new search engines. So you'll search for prompts. What a prompt is essentially is basically a long tail version of your keywords with a bunch more context. Because again, if you don't give it context, it doesn't know what you're looking for. It doesn't know if you're looking for a product recommendation, if you want to know how they work, if you know if you want to know if they're safe, right? So you want to give it exact prompts. Again, if you search for this on Google, AI writer tools list with price, right here. There's a couple of results. There's even this one result right here, which is basically a list of these. However, this is it's not good enough, right? If you search for the same thing, right, this one, AI writer tools list with price, or give me a list of AI writing tools and their prices, right? It will give you the same thing, but then you can go back and forth, right? And you can even say, give me a table of results, right? So again, the intent behind the search is different, right? Here, if you search for this on Google, or actually right here, if you search for this keyword on Google, you're just looking for a list and not much context. If you search for this on Grok or GPT or Perplexity, you know by default that you're going to ask it a second question. Because again, how many times have you asked only once one thing to these things right here? Most people ask multiple things. It's a back and forth experience. And that's one of the main reasons and the main differentiators, I guess, of the SEO nowadays. That is, for LLM SEO, you got to optimize for back and forth. And that comes with, first thing, optimizing for prompts. Okay, and I'll go over how to do that. I just want you to understand the difference here. Hopefully this is making sense so far. Again, most people here, it's one query search, right? Most people here is a one-time search. Most people here is a multiple back and forth type search. Okay, hopefully this makes sense. Now, again, you gotta choose the prompts you want to rank for. Okay, usually it's gonna be stuff like this. But again, you can make a list out of it, and I'll give you some examples in a bit. Okay, then you gotta optimize for brand mentions across the web. And this is, Google has been doing this for a long time now. Basically what this is have your brand mentioned anywhere you can. Google, Bing, YouTube videos, TikTok, Twitter, Reddit, LinkedIn. So become a brand. Google and all these other LLMs value brands, right? They recommend the most notorious brands in a certain niche, right? So it's about how well your brand is perceived. How big is your brand perceived by all these people, all these LLMs and all these search engines? So you don't even have to have the biggest brand, right? You can have, for example, this big brand making a lot of money, right? And then you can have this small brand making an even greater amount of money, right? And again, even though this brand is making more money, so more customers, more reliable, I guess, right? This one has a bigger brand. They make more noise on social. They're hyperactive on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. They're everywhere. And the thing is that by me saying active everywhere, it's a synonym of saying there's more brand mentions of them all across the web. And where do you think these models take their info from? Well, they search the web. And if they search and find more instances of this brand than this one, well, they'll perceive this one as bigger. Of course, not all the time, because of course, if this brand has some presence in the web, and if they talk about how many customers they have, well, and these LLMs see, okay, yeah, this brand there's less brand mentions, but they make more money. Either way, this is still going to be mentioned in the list if you ask it for a list. So my point here is that you don't necessarily need to be you don't necessarily want to be, actually, you want to be the bigger brand, but it's not just because you are the bigger brand, as in, not just because you make more money and more successful, that you're going to be recommended more times. The brands that are recommended more times are the brands that are bigger. And you become bigger by the number of mentions your brand has. And of course, by default, right, if you have more brand mentions, most likely you make a lot of money. So again, they're correlated, but they're not a causation. So there's correlation, but not causation. Hopefully it's making sense. Again, it's not just because you are the brand making the most money that you're going to be the most well-known one. Okay, and there's countless examples of that. So again, but note that of course, if you're a big brand in terms of notoriety, in terms of mentions online, well, most likely you're also going to be making a lot of money. Okay, but this is to say, and if we compare it on a more lower level, right, we have a lot of competitors maybe making more money than us, but because we're more notorious across the web, well, we're recommended more times and more often than some of our competitors, making more money than us. Hopefully this makes sense. Now, third, in the I guess this little point right here, again, I'll give you a list of all the things you need to do, but third is got to be coherent. So if you mention anywhere on the web that you're the best for XYZ, right, be coherent so you don't confuse these LLMs. Because again, they're pulling in info from all across the web. And if you're saying that you're the best product for plumbers and the best product for surgeons and the best product for, doctors, right, well, they're going to think of you as this very broad solution, great for all these different niches. And when someone is looking for a tailored solution, well, maybe these guys maybe the LLMs will not recommend your brand because they'll see you as this one-size-fits-all brand, right? Which again might be good for some of your prompts, but maybe you want to attract an audience that's just for plumbers. So again, don't confuse these LLMs. Don't put info across the web that you do all this stuff, that you're great for XYZ, that you have all these things, when maybe you don't, right? Again, this is more the classic search engine, Google search engine optimization, where you want to rank for a bunch of different keywords, even though they're maybe not very related with your niche. This can be detrimental for this new age of LLM SEO, because again, you're going to be confusing them, right? And these are not dumb, right? They know that if you're saying you're good at all things, right, they will recommend you as a broader solution, a generic solution, not a niche down solution, okay? Again, of course, if you're a mega broad product, well, of course, you're going to do that. But most products are and should be niche down. Okay, so be coherent, okay? And of course, be coherent in saying that if you say that you do this, don't say that you don't do that. If somewhere along the lines that you say your software has XYZ feature, don't say you don't have it. And this happens a lot, by the way, because with software companies, they're usually developing features every single week or month, right? And in a blog post or in a comparison article or in these tool directories, some of these tool directories mention that your tool has this price and all these features, but then a week later, you drop your price, you add more features. So now this is incoherent with what you have on your blog. So we have two incoherent things. These models are pulling in info from. Here it says the price is $10 a month. Here it says it's 5. Here it says you have 50 features. Here it says you have only 40. So it's pulling in incoherent info from across the web. Again, of course, they know how to filter and they know how to look at the dates, but still try to be as coherent as possible so as to not confuse these models. And you'll notice that they're confused when you do a bunch of searches on them and you know the brand you're talking about and they pull in info that's not really true. That happens a lot. So moving down with an actual live example and some prompts of what we're actually doing for our own brand. Okay, so here's our main prompt. And again, this is an example of my own tool, which is tryjournalist.com. It's an AI SEO writing tool. It does a bunch of stuff, right? A bunch of features, a bunch of solutions, integrations, right? It's a complex product, okay? And so the main prompt is going to be this right here. What's the best auto blogging tool for SEO? So that's the question. The best qualifier, so it could be the cheapest, the most expensive, the most simpler, right? It depends on your product or niche, right? Auto blogging, so this is a feature, okay? Tool for industry niche or use case, okay? Could be for any different industry, use case, I mean, you get the point, right? So this is a prompt. What's the best auto blogging tool for SEO? Question, qualifier, feature, and niche industry use case, okay? So if I take this prompt right here, I'm gonna put it into all of these 3 LLMs. So let's just do ChatGPT, and let's do Perplexity, and let's do Grok, okay? Right, and let's see what they come up with. Right, again, always pulling info from different places, so just note that the answers will be different, okay? So here you go. What's the best auto blogging tool? Okay, so it's gonna give me a context into what it is. Auto blogging tools can save you time, whatever, right? And then it gives me a list of a couple of tools. This is still loading. Let's see what Perplexity has for me. Okay, perfect. So first things first, you'll notice that it pulled in a video. This is a video of mine, right? So this essentially is a video that links to my site. Okay, so it pulled in a video. So it's taking in info from, again, all across the web. Not just Google, but it's taking info from LinkedIn, YouTube, anything that's indexable, they can gather info from, okay? And right here, we are being promoted here. So brand mentioned right here, Journalist AI, okay? Journalist AI, again, it's pulled in info from our site, again, because we have a blog post that talks about this. And again, I'll give you exactly the step-by-step on how to do it, but I just want to show you first how things work, okay? And again, it's basically recommending our product, and then other notable tools, it recommends a couple of our competitors, okay? Now, this is a very important section right here, which we'll go over in a bit. Now, Grok, so here we go. What's the best auto blogging tool for SEO? Competitor of ours, right here, competitor of ours, and there we go. This is our brand mentioned right here, Journalist AI, so we're mentioning here in the text at the list, okay? And then finally, ChatGPT, let's see what it did. So ChatGPT didn't actually recommend our brand, so I cannot find it anywhere here. Not an issue though, again, this is just for one prompt. Now, I'll go back to this. I just want to go over here, very important thing, which is the secondary prompts. Again, I'll give you a list of all the steps down here, which we're doing to right here, all the 7 steps. They're very important, which again, will give you the step-by-step on how to actually make your business show up. But I think all the stuff that I talked about here is very important for context. Okay, so let's just break down what I mean by the secondary prompts. Okay, so secondary prompts, again, you know by now that the way users interact with these LLMs, these new search engines, is not just by asking one thing, it's by asking multiple things and doing it back and forth. Okay, so now that our main prompt is this, and it was recommended 2 out of 3 times on these LLMs, so Grok recommended us, Perplexity as well, excuse me, the only one that didn't was ChatGPT, at least again for this main prompt. We want to take a look at secondary prompts. And again, these aren't just random. You'll notice that in my 7 steps, right, you'll optimize your site and your brand to show up for this. So for example, let's say, for example, we'd go here to ChatGPT, the one that did not recommend our product, and ask it, for example, well, actually, let me just scroll up right here because I think the reason why is because of the model I'm choosing. Let's just do 4.0, and let's just hit this again. Because if I'm not mistaken, this one, I don't think it takes live info. I'm not too sure. Yeah, there we go, right? It was the first one. It may have been because of the model I chose, so just take that into account. Again, most people will just use this one, if I'm not mistaken, so it's great for most questions. So there we go. We are the first brand mentioned, so we asked what's the best auto blogging tool for SEO. There we go, we're the first one right here. So we were recommended by all these 3 models. Again, there's a lot of nuance here. If you choose different models, the answers might be different. As you saw there, the answers were different. And again, because all these take info from different sources, anywhere in the internet, and they might put different weights on info, for example, coming from LinkedIn. Maybe GPT puts more weight on info coming from Reddit. Maybe Grok puts more info on what people talk about on Twitter. So you might want to mention your brand more on Twitter. Again, all this stuff is recommending our brand. And so now I want to go over the actual 7 steps we're taking to have it so our brand is recommended here on the LLMs. So first things first is, again, actually the main takeaway here is LLMs only have the info you give them. Okay, so give them more info than your competitors do. That's basically it. Again, all these LLMs, right, they take info from all around the web to feed them, right? They feed them, right? And then it'll give you answers, right? That's an A, based on all the info they collected, right? And so if you have more info online about your competitors, well, the more likely you are to be mentioned or recommended by one of these LLMs. Again, as you saw here, right, we were recommended first. Here, again, we were the only one recommended right here on all this. Of course, there were some secondary things right here. And on here, we were I mentioned as well as the third one. So the way in which you do this, and I guess the main takeaway from this video is LLMs only have the info you give them, okay? They cannot make up info, right? They take info from somewhere on the web. So you got to put as much info as you can on the web. And so here's how you do it. Well, first things first, 1 through 4 is the classic SEO strategy, which is make the homepage on your site with a clear message. For example, for our tool right here, right, we are the AI SEO writer that auto publishes your blog, right? And again, we have a bunch more info right here about what our product does. And we even have down here, right, there you go, automatic blog publishing, automatic with Autoblog, right? We even have here down here a bunch of FAQs that, again, give extra relevancy to our site. And again, this is the classic SEO thing. You optimize your site with a clear message, optimize for your keywords, right? Pages for each feature, right? What we have right here, which we have a dedicated page for each feature. For example, we have an AI news writer. And we have a dedicated page for this feature. It talks about what it does, what it doesn't do, its pricing, all this stuff. It goes over in depth on what it does. Again, we have pages for every single feature. Again, all this, what we're doing here is we're giving as much context as we can to these LLMs that will eventually scrape our site for info. So they'll know that, okay, these guys have this feature, this one, this one, this one. They have all of this stuff right here. Okay, same thing right here for the niche, right? Actually, I didn't mention it here, but same thing for the use cases. So solutions, right? We have solutions for e-commerce, for agencies, for startups. So if people are prompting themselves and asking, hey, what's the best AI writer for local businesses? Boom, oh, there we go. The LLMs read through our site and found, okay, these guys have a dedicated page for this, and they're the best because X, Y, Z, all this stuff. So again, solution pages for agencies, startups, local businesses, e-commerce, right? Same thing for integrations. Again, you got to give it as much info as you can. And this is the classic, right, SEO strategy, right? The use cases page right here, sorry, excuse me. And then blog posts, right? Blog posts with alternative, comparison, and informational pages. This is one of the biggest, one of the most classic SEO strategies right here. I'll leave a link for this video down below, which basically goes over my own, this SaaS right here, which is here, this SaaS SEO strategy for the classic SEO strategy for showing up on Google and Bing. That being said, this classic SEO strategy, the efforts I put into this bleed into the results that are shown in these LLMs right here. Because again, they take info from anywhere in the web. And if I have pages on my site, right, comparing my product with others, talking about alternatives, right, and I'll show you here an example. For example, during this, if we go here to the blog, and just open this one right here, right, we have a blog post, for example, we have a bunch of these, right, 10 best, this is a competitor of ours, alternatives. We talk about what the competitor is, right? What they are, right? Their fee is their free, their pricing, their features, right? Key features, okay, there we go. And then we talk about, okay, best alternatives, boom, our own product, and a bunch more. So now, when the AIs are skimming through our site, because this ranks on Google as well, and this is indexed on Google, when they're skimming through Google and getting all this information, you'll know, okay, so here's 10 alternatives to this tool, right? But again, we're giving info, we're giving context, we're positioning ourselves as an alternative to this tool. We have a bunch more blog posts like this. For example, we have this one right here, I think this latest one, where we tried 30 different AI writers. So there's a world in which people are searching for prompts related with this. So for example, testing AI writers or best AI writer based on testing, right? Based on results. And we have this long video, right? Which again, the LLMs taking the transcript and take all the info and take all this right here into account to recommending our tools and all the other tools. We'll give you info to these LLMs. And by the way, now on YouTube, you can enable a setting to let LLMs, I guess, read through the transcripts of your video and use your information, to the results they provide, to enrich the results they provide. This is a very new feature that only showed up, I think, 2 weeks ago, which I, of course, enabled, right, into all our YouTube channels. Because again, as I said before, right, some of these LLMs recommend your YouTube channels. And so if these LLMs can access this video transcript where I talk about what our product is, what it isn't, all this feature, and maybe I haven't written a blog post about this, or a tweet about this, or a LinkedIn post about this, well, it doesn't matter because I've made a YouTube video about this, which the LLMs can read through what I'm saying there. It does recommend my own site, okay? And so, again, this is the classic SEO strategy right here, which again, I'll leave a link down below for how to implement this strategy because it's super important. It actually does work. But again, 1 through 4 is the classic SEO strategy. And please do watch this video, which goes over step by step how I implement the number 4, which again is writing blog posts with alternatives, speaking about competitors, talking about their own features, right? Because even if you don't show up, right, your site can show up for your competitors' brand names. For example, in this blog post, I talk about this competitor, right? This has great info about my competitor. It talks about what they are, right? It talks about if they're free, talks about their pricing, has links to their site, talks about their bundles, talks about all the stuff, talks about all their key features. So if someone is looking to learn about this competitor, searching for on these LLMs, well, the LLMs can give info on this, but the source, right, this thing right here, which they give out the source can be our own blog post. So again, you can rank for your competitors' brand names and keywords because the info you're providing to these LLMs is so good that they have no choice to take in that info. Hopefully this is making sense. Again, in all essence, just write a blog post about your competitors, and if people are searching info about your competitors on these LLMs, well, if you have the best info about the competitors, well, these LLMs will give info on the search query that they're searching for here, and as the reference right here, they'll link to your blog post. Okay, same thing for Grok. They give you links to the blog posts. Hopefully this is making sense. So it's not just about optimizing for your own stuff, it's optimizing for your competitor stuff. Because if you can optimize for their stuff better than them, well, yes, when people are looking for their brand names on these LLMs, they'll get info about their brand names, but the reference where that info was taken from was our own blog post. So people then click the reference, go to our site, read about the competitor, and then, oh, wait, this is a blog post about alternatives. What's this? So again, another way to gain more traction. So don't optimize just for your stuff, optimize for their stuff. And this is what all this number 4 strategy in this 30-minute video is all about. It's based on that, okay? Creating alternative pages, comparison pages, and informational pages. Oh, I forgot to mention that down here in Perplexity, you'll see that there's a couple of related queries right here, or which you can click, right, and expand on it, right? Again, how does Journalist AI compare to this competitor in terms of SEO optimization, right? And it's taking the info from info on the web, right? Again, all this stuff right here, it's not made up, right? It takes these questions because there's info on the web based on them. So again, if you can optimize for some of these related questions, right, and create maybe blog posts, create YouTube videos, create content about these questions, well, they're going to show up here, and the content of such questions will be taken from your own site, right? There you go. They even recommended one of my videos. So again, optimize for queries people could search for, right? Whether that's features of yours, comparison, doesn't matter, right? Optimize for that stuff because again, it will prompt you to keep on going with the conversation, right? Again, multiple things right here, Journalist AI, whatever, right? There's a bunch of stuff right here, which again takes info from our own site because we have info on that right here. This is taking info from our own domain, right? It's taking info from our own videos, okay? So none of this info is random right here. So you gotta optimize for questions people are asking and think about second-tier questions people might ask, okay? That's it, okay? Now 5 through 7, number 5 is active branded social channels. So not just having social channels of your brand, not just having Twitter or LinkedIn, having stuff that are posted actively. So Twitter, post on Twitter, YouTube, post on YouTube, LinkedIn, Reddit. So have these social channels, but actively post on them. Fresh new content, right? Again, these LMs are looking for fresh info. They're looking for what's hot right now, what's the best right now. Okay, again, they have direct access to the internet right now, and if they see, right, they see the number of brand mentions, they see this brand being mentioned heavily on LinkedIn, right? They see stuff going viral. Again, you gotta be active as much as you can, at least more than your competitors. Okay, then active non-branded social mentions. This is basically other people recommending your brand. Okay, so again, you have all your branded social accounts mentioning you, and then other people recommending your brand. Maybe pay influencers on Twitter. Maybe again, other people that have used your product, writing reviews on Reddit, writing reviews on a blog post, recording reviews on YouTube, talking about it on LinkedIn, talking about it on TikTok. So active non-brand mentions. Again, you notice that all of these, right, are all about brand. Because the bigger the brand, as I said before, the bigger the brand right here, the bigger the mention of the brand, the more recommended you'll be. Okay. And finally, backlinks. Well, what a backlink is essentially in terms of SEO is mentions or links about your brand in other authoritative sites. For example, a Forbes linking back to your site, right? Huffington Post linking back to your site. I don't know, CNN, right? Linking back to your site, right? A big YouTube channel linking back to your site, right? A big influential LinkedIn guy with all his post index linking back to your site. So backlinks, brand mentions. By the way, I'll leave a link for this down below, which again, just show you the impact of links, right? We built 29 backlinks to this site right here, and the traffic went from around 400 to 1600 in just a few weeks. So this is the power of links, excuse me. I'll leave this case study down below in the description, and also leave you a link on how to build links. So if you open this up right here, it's basically a free guide on how to build backlinks. So let me just open this right here. It is a 3-hour course, right, that teaches you how to build backlinks that rank a site. This is a 40-minute video going over what backlinks are, excuse me, how to build them, right, what to look for. What this is a 22-minute video on how to build all these backlinks. This is a 15-minute video on which type of backlinks I build, and this is the case study. So if you watch all this stuff, you'll know how to build backlinks that have the exact effects you saw right here on this case study, because the links that I show you how to build in this free course are the exact links I built to this client that saw this amazing increase in 400 to about 1600 a month in monthly organic search traffic. Okay, so that's the final one. And again, main takeaway here is, again, LLMs only have the info you give them. So give them more info than what your competitors do. Pretty straightforward, right? Hopefully this was valuable. I know I spoke a bit too fast, and I maybe went a bit over maybe too complex topics, or wasn't able to properly explain myself. Hopefully I was. Again, to sum it up, these LLMs take info from all around the world, right? All around the web. So you gotta make sure you get your mention in every single place. And then you gotta make sure you optimize for prompts, not necessarily for keywords, because again, the way in which people search in these new AI search engines, right, these things right here, is not the same way they search for on Google or Bing, right? They search for prompts because they know, right, and you know as well, that they're not just there to search once. Most likely, if they want to search once for one thing, they go on Google. But if they know they want to have a talk back and forth, they'll search more than once. And because of that simple thing, that simple change in mindset of, oh, I want to search more than once, I want to have a conversation, the prompts they use are way, way different than the ones they use on Google. Again, they're more or less the same thing. They're essentially keywords, long tail versions of the keywords, but I want to call them prompts just to appreciate them. Because again, if they were to do the same thing that they do on Google, right, let's just search, for example, for AI writer, well, there's a lot of ambiguity. They don't know, the AI doesn't know if they're looking for product recommendation, if they're looking for how AI writers work, if they're looking for if they're safe, right? That Google doesn't know, okay? So that's why there's a big difference here. And so the way in which you optimize for these stuff right here is through all these steps right here, right? Giving as much information about you and about the competition as you possibly can. About you, because again, it's the only way that these guys know how to recommend you, and about your competition, because, well, if these LLMs can recommend your competition, and then the source of such recommendation is your own site where you talked about them, well, it's another way to have people come to your traffic to learn more about this stuff. Okay. Hopefully this was valuable. Let me know down below in the comments. Like, subscribe, and if you want a bit more, if you want more videos on LLM SEO, let me know. Cheers, take care. Try Journalist AI, by the way. Give it a go. It's our AI writer, which again, it was recommended by not only Grok, but Perplexity, but also ChatGPT, so it might be good, right? Give it a go. Try it out. There's a bunch of features that it does: auto linking, auto blogging, AI SEO writer, AI SEO editor. There's social syndication, automatic indexing. There's a bunch of stuff it does tailored to all these different types of people. So if you want to give it a go, let me know. You can also check out the case studies right here, which we have a bunch of results for different businesses types. So yeah, I'm just rambling. Thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.